Hello everyone, welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. Today we're going to go ahead and jump into that reading we've been talking about the third party. It seems like that energy keeps coming up in our readings, and so we're just going to go ahead and focus on it, especially because we saw in the last couple days there was a little bit of a shift that seemed like it was starting to happen. And we've seen a lot of shifting with that third party energy. So let's tune in and kind of see what's going on with it now. It's going to be a general reading as always. So it's a general reading for this collective. So it won't resonate with everybody, should not resonate with everybody. But if it's you, if it resonates with you, you may want to check out some of the other videos, and you may even want to subscribe. I say that at the beginning of each of the videos because it's the first one. For everybody's got their first one somewhere in there. So we're going to go ahead and start with the that energetic and emotional backdrop. And so it's kind of that energetic and emotional backdrop for the day. You may already have found yourself coming into this energy. You may stick around for longer than just the day. So we've got the Four of Swords in reverse. So need for healing, need for rest, really. It's kind of like being run ragged, and just, even the act of taking a vacation kind of generates this situation where you have to dig yourself out of it. It's a common issue, but it's one that seems to really kind of be hitting the fan right now. So that's what I see in today's energy. It's pretty common for this time of year, and it just starts to kind of ramp up as we move into the fall. But, knowing that is part of how you can be prepared to manage it. So it just means kind of get in there more with the meditation and the prayer if you have the opportunity to do so. I'm heavy on those because those are tools that I use. I also like to exercise that works to quiet my mind and keep me reasonable. Also kind of keeps my mind running in a straight line for the most part. I mean, we're all going to have those days. But especially when you've got the times of needing that rest, this becomes important. So we have Three of Wands, feeling like you're behind, feeling like something hasn't been started that needs to, something feels out of balance. This is feeling like things are chasing you a little bit. So with that feeling of the Four of Swords and feeling like you just need the rest, this supports that. It's a little bit of a feeling run ragged sort of feeling. Let's see, those don't resonate for me. We'll see if they come back out. This is it's kind of a tired, I've been running around in circles sort of feeling. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad day, just a running you ragged sort of day. Knight of Wands, this is a non-committal, maybe not wanting to do any of the things that are on your agenda kind of feeling. And keep in mind, this is energy that could be hitting both of you. This is the sort of energy where maybe you just want to kind of sit around and read a book, but you don't have the option to do so, or whatever your equivalent is of sitting around and reading a book and, just kind of staring out the window or not doing anything, lying around playing on your phone. There is some... I recently was reading about some kind of contest where people, I forget where it was, but they were lying around and they were on day 20 or day 21. And it was a lying around contest to see who could be the laziest human. And, of course, the comments were all that I saw were, I definitely could get into this sort of thing. But this is that sort of day where you feel like that might be your sort of contest. With the King of Cups in the reverse, it's got the sense of not having a lot of emotional range, I guess, and just kind of not wanting to deal with things today. This starts to feel a little bit like it's shared energy, but it starts to feel a little bit more like it's heading in your person's direction, though. Particularly with these two cards. The rest of these cards feel like the energy that's just kind of around everyone. And you may be killing it regardless of this, but it just has that feeling of, wanting to be a laid back day. So there is the emotional lack of range and the lack of a desire to jump into anything too emotionally significant here. But a feeling that it might be pursuing you a little bit anyway, might be pursuing them. Especially because those last two cards felt like it was more like them anyway. So yeah, with the lack of emotional range comes less emotional flow. It's it's more of feeling like they can turn on the faucet of emotion. And so instead of having the emotional flow, they're feeling like they can control it and shut it off on days like this. And so it doesn't have a particularly good feeling around it. I mean, I don't think they're having great luck with that. Let's see what else that comes out. King of Coins in reverse, Death card. The Death card in particular, so that's as far down as we go with these. The Death card in particular is talking about things that have changed, but this is not necessarily things that are in the process of changing. So we know that there are some things that are in the process of changing, but this has got the energy of them looking at something that's already ended, and they're looking back at it. It's kind of got that feeling and thinking, did I do things right? I'm not convinced I did things right. There's a feeling there of not being too sure of themselves, I guess. That's where we kind of start things off. There's just a feeling of wishing you could maybe do a do-over on the day. Things within the day seem like they're going okay, like you're getting through it, but it's not necessarily one of those days where you're thrilled about it. Though feeling like something's chasing you, that feeling of feeling like you can't catch up, that one is kind of pervasive. It feels temporary though, so if this is you, realize that you may wake up tomorrow feeling differently. It does have that temporary sense to it. The piece with your person though, so they're getting this temporary energy too, on top of energy that already feels like not wanting to deal with the emotional shift. But they've been experiencing a little bit more emotional range lately. So for it to be shut down just puts them kind of back in territory that they're familiar with, but I don't think that's going to last much beyond this energy of overwhelm either. So I would say that even though we've got this kind of little bit emotionally muffled energy for today, and a sense of they want to control it, they want to be able to control that energy and turn it on and off like a switch. That may even be working for them, but again, it doesn't feel like it's going to stick around. So if you are waiting for that to go away, you should be pleased within the not too distant future. So let's take a look then at what is happening with this third energy, or this third party energy. So again, to just kind of define what the third party energy is, this is energy that's outside of the two of you, beyond the two of you, but that impacts your relationship. So we've got the Knight of Swords in reverse. That's their fear, but it's particularly the part that makes them run away. And then we've got this is the mystery piece. So this is all about fearing what you don't know, fearing the unknown. I feel that in a couple different places. So when they didn't exactly understand what they were getting into when they took this job, married this person, got together with this person, entered into whatever agreement, whoever this third party is. So it's really, you have your person, and regardless of, again, how long they've known you versus the other people, or regardless of what those other relationships are, if it's not you and your person, it's a third party energy if it's impacting the relationship. So it comes in many forms. It could be their job, and it could be, in some cases, it's a third party energy for both of you that impacts both of you, because maybe you work together, or you work for the same company, or those types of dynamics that are work related. There could definitely be that element. There could also be we work in the same place and we have long-term relationships, significant others, or one of you does. Those would individually be different third-party energies. So you could have a variety of them. I make the comment sometimes that we've had viewers talk about having third, fourth, and fifth party energies, and I think that's funny, but it's also, they're all considered third-party energies in this context. So when I ask the question, and I've gotten questions about that before, so I like to just make sure that I am relatively clear about it. But when we're asking this question, that's the sort of parties that we're looking at. So it's not about who got here first. We've got, so like I said, we've got the Knight of Swords that's really talking about fear and kind of that tendency to bolt, that tendency to ghost out, to break off communication, that feeling, and then this feeling of mystery. So not making decisions adeptly with little information. So as you mature as a decision maker, as a person, you become more adept and you become more confident, right? So you become more adept at making decisions with less information. Because sometimes you make the wrong decision and you have to make an adjustment for it, but it's okay. You know, you become more confident because of that, not necessarily just because of becoming more confident. Well, anyway, I say that to say this. There is that element missing, that confidence is not building. So there's this feeling of still not being able to make decisions quickly. Even as the information starts to pile in and the evidence starts to become irrefutable. And that's kind of, so we asked what was going on with this third party. We noticed a while back, they felt like there was something that had ended there, something that was no longer the way that it used to be, and it would never be that way again. And they were done with it in some way, but it was not yet done with them. Because we've also seen in these readings that these third parties offer a lot of lessons for your person. So it isn't just them learning lessons from you, which we know that's the point of this relationship. But it is also, you know, them learning lessons from other sources and getting information from other sources. And so, okay, we've got the Nine of Swords here in reverse. Let's see how far this goes, because I think this completely ties in with what I was just saying. But it's about where their anxiety, we don't need this next card, I don't think. Let me go ahead and pull out the next one, because this is about their anxiety and how they compartmentalize it. It also, I don't think, we can't have the Knight of Wands come out in the reverse here, because it already came out over there. But I'm feeling it. So this is such an awkward energy. Hang on a second, I dropped one. Oh, and we have the Page of Cups that has come out in reverse. This is about communication becoming, what I'm getting is veiled communication, poor communication, possibly even intercepted communication, coded communication. That's really not what I expected to hear there. So there's a little bit of confidence that comes in, like these moments of, these blinks of confidence. And that's kind of the feeling that's coming through with the Nine of Swords. But there's this inability to really communicate, like there's a fogginess. We've still got the dreamlike quality in there. So when I say it's an awkward energy, it's awkward even for me to kind of dig in there to try and describe it. All of a sudden, it's got my brain feeling like it's flying over the Bermuda Triangle, you know. And on moments like that, I kind of go on autopilot, but it's because that way the words that need to come out will come out. So the Ten of Cups, this is, all right. Remember that we've been learning the lesson here of what you do when you're confronted with something that really means a lot to you, that feels like it could be too good to be true. And then what happens if you're confronted with that and you have the wherewithal to make it happen. And we also know that this is part of, I would almost expect the Eight of Cups to come out here in short order, because this has all been about the lessons that you two have both been learning, but they've taken such different appearances for you. So for them, their response to running into something that seems too good to be true and seems like it could generate or could be that wish fulfillment that they're currently lacking. They're lacking in their life. When they figure out they've got the wherewithal to make it happen, all of a sudden everything they haven't learned is thrown into stark relief. And so we've got the Four of Swords here. Just like that Four of Swords, talking again about healing that isn't done and a need for the rest and rejuvenation. So in this case, the rest and rejuvenation is needed because they have been essentially dashed upon the rocks at high tide with this issue. It feels like something over and over that they've figured out what they once wanted is not what they want now. Okay, that is the lesson here, is how do you go search for what it is that you want? How do you put yourself into that quest? And they are incredibly reluctant to do that because, as we've seen, they have a tendency to want to stay with something that feels safe and feels stable to them right now. But in fact isn't, what they want. So they're willing to sit in this unhealed place, and it's a constant back and forth because, as you can see, that feeling doesn't work very well for them. It doesn't last very they aren't able to stay satisfied. They aren't able to lie to themselves about it now because they've had this experience that has shown them something else. It's shown them a better way to spend their time, better way to spend their energy. And it gives them these kind of, like I was saying, these blinks of inspiration. So with the Judgment card in the reverse and the Devil in the reverse, this is kind of talking to the swirling emotions. I love that the Eight of Swords came out here with this. But so the Ace of Swords. Sorry, did I say Ace of Swords? I was looking at the Eight of Coins and I was trying to talk about the Ace of Swords. So the Ace of Swords is that truth that this is just coming up in readings all over the place. It's coming up in our daily readings. It's coming up in the personal readings. It's the truth that is presenting itself and becoming incredibly difficult to not see and not think about. It's what's ruining the whole everybody's ability to fantasize. It makes the dreams complicated. One person talked to me, and there have been so many dreams lately, but one person talked to me about being at a party with their person. They were talking to their person and some other person they didn't know, and then they noticed that like parts of them were hanging out, like they were they were partially nude. Nobody was commenting on it or anything, but they were saying, okay, so obviously I'm feeling like I lack some confidence. But those types of dreams seem like they've been coming out. So I'm curious to feel or to understand what's happening in the dreams for your person. I know that what we saw in the previous readings, about them having the significant uptick in the fantasy energy and relying on those really heavily. But they do realize that they've also come a long way since they've met you. This is a matter of learning lessons and seeing these truths. The Devil in reverse is energy of what they have overcome. The Judgment is what they haven't. So it's like they've got the angel energy on one side and the devil energy on the other shoulder, and the truth in the middle, and their whole ability to assess the situation is just kind of hanging in the balance. Eight of Coins doesn't feel like it resonates. Again, I'll just pop these back in there, and if it feels like it needs to come back out, then it'll come back out. We've all seen it if we've been on this channel. Sometimes I'm like, I'm not so sure about this one, and exactly like this, it pops back out. Okay, so I do still feel like, oh nope, it's these, it's this, and it's this. All right, so your person is feeling like they are in a particularly difficult place with this Five of Swords. We've got the Five of Swords, we've got the Hanged Woman in reverse, we have the Star card in reverse talking about the delay and the reason for the delay, and the Eight of Coins in the upright talking about, but I've come so far. So we see that also with the Devil card in the reverse, and it's true, they have come so far, but they also, what they have accomplished isn't, it's the reason that if they come in to talk to you now, they would be doing so in an unhealed way. So there's a lot for them to be working through, but what they're acknowledging is, and this is something that everyone needs to be acknowledging, both sides. Both of you have come a long way. So have they, but they're not ready yet. With the Star card is telling us they're not all the way there yet. The Hanged Woman talks about that lack of perspective, another card that's been coming out in one form or another. The Hanged Man, the Hanged something, but it keeps coming out in reverse because the perspective has not yet been earned. It has not yet been granted. The Five of Swords is the reason why. So it's kind of what's getting in the way of this new perspective, although I don't think it's necessarily time for them to have it yet anyway. Five of Swords is their tendency to have that, it's like an anxious inner conflict, sort of self-doubt, negative self-talk kind of energy that likes to come about whenever they are just about to get to a great place or just about to embark on something great. This side of them kind of comes out and says, here's a bunch of, throws a whole bunch of self-doubt at them. So as they're looking at the energy with this third party, this is really their energy as it relates to that third party. There are truths here that they recognize with the Judgment card. They're saying, hey, this does not check out. This is not okay. This is not good enough. With the Devil card in reverse, we have, hey, but no, it's fine. We've overcome some things. We've learned some lessons. Maybe things will be okay. And so they're constantly going back and forth between should I stay or should I go? Because going means that they lose something. It means that everything is going to be upside down for them for some reason. It'd be walking away from a job. It would be walking away from a family member, from a marriage, from a relationship, what have you. A particularly difficult kind of situation. It's and if they do walk away, there's everything for them to lose. They don't exactly know what it is for them to gain. They're not quite sure what that would look like. And if they stay, they're trying to kind of talk themselves into that being okay, but that keeps not being okay. So this is very much their internal struggle. And here, we see the internal struggle with the Five of Swords. I think as we go into the extended, and you always got to get into here to see what shows up before we understand what to dig into in the extended. I think in this energy today, taking this into consideration, particularly as we look at this, I don't know that I expect any quick decisions from this person, and I don't know that I would recommend that anyway. But I think as we get into the extended, we're going to look a little bit more deeply into exactly what is happening in your person's emotions, because we know that they're a little bit dulled today, but they've been coming out. So we'll get into the emotions a little bit. I think we got into the emotions a few days ago a little bit when we looked into the divine masculine messages. So we'll get in there a little bit more, and if some messages come out, then I'm happy to mention it. However, we'll get into those emotions. We'll find out a little bit more what's happening with the third party. Maybe it's emotions for you and emotions around the third party. We can kind of get into that a little bit and then see what else comes up. Because let's see what comes up for you. We're going to look into what your guidance is based on everything that we're seeing here. So we always like to get into a question for you and get an idea for where you should focus as you're working through your own growth, because this collective is all about growth. So I had a bunch of cards fall and they all fell face down. I looked down there and I thought at least one would be face up saying, pick me. But here we go. All right. So the Six of Swords. So for you, you seem to be able to kind of run between the raindrops on a stormy day. Even though we've got this energy of overwhelm, you seem to be kind of flying below radar on that a little bit. So there's some element to that where you figured out how to let this roll off your back. So even though maybe that's still what's happening in the energy, you've gotten a little better with dealing with it. But part of it is just you've gotten so strong from carrying too much. So you've still got some things that need to be set down as far as things that you are taking on as your personal responsibility, not necessarily that someone is assigning to you, but you've taken on in your personal responsibility that you don't necessarily have the opportunity to control. You have found there's some place in you that needs a little bit more attention, needs a little bit more investment from you, needs a little bit more of your time and really just your focus. It's something that is for you. And I think something that, I'm not going to say it's the thing that sets your soul on fire, but it is definitely something that comforts your soul in a fantastic way. And it's something that I get the sense that it's something that you've known before. So it's, one person mentioned that they had walked away from a sport that they loved. And I wonder if for that person, it isn't going and getting some opportunity to play, maybe it's something to that effect. So there's this feeling of maybe things not moving along very quickly with your soulmate, not necessarily moving quickly with the union, but still of being very strong. The union that doesn't seem to end, but doesn't seem to be doing much or going anywhere. We've got this Eight of Cups that's coming out now. So we had the Ten of Cups over here with the something that's too good to be true. We had the Nine of Cups with the wish fulfillment that you're always chasing, or you're always making adjustments to make sure that you're still on it. With the Eight of Cups, that really is going on that quest. So I see you going on that quest. Your person's a little more reluctant to do so because things are a little cloudy with them. But again, we'll get into their emotions here in a bit. What we see here, though, is that there is a little bit of a holding pattern for even if you do have communication, it's not necessarily free energy between the two of you. There's a lot of limitation, energetic limitation. There is still consistent movement forward on your part and a nice balance that you seem to be striking emotionally. And that feels like not always, maybe just on the good days, but what you're doing on those good days is still something that you're doing. Needs to be celebrated for what it is. And a positivity and that balance, that emotional it's like an emotional consistency. And I don't mean consistency like in being consistent, but I mean the consistency of the emotion is what's special about it. There's an emotional independence that I can feel. So I dropped another one face down. And it's interesting how I can get like really into the reading, and then when I drop one, it feels like I'm going into a whole other world to go down there and pick it up. Okay, so the Moon card, here in reverse, there are mysteries that are uncovering themselves for you. Doors that are opening for you. And in particular, I'm seeing an ability for you to become a better partner. Not necessarily that I see you joining a partnership. I see you walking like in an environment where you have a lot of interaction, but you are not necessarily picking just one partnership to focus on. There are a lot of different friendships, different relationships, different types of interaction. And I feel like there's a little bit less of an attachment coming, and you kind of moving through the process of having to release some attachment. So the Four of Coins in particular, I didn't see that before I said the thing about attachment, but this is what it's all about. There's something for you to move through, but it's something that takes a little while. So, you know, I get the letters from you guys, and I can't always respond to them, but I do read every one of them. Sometimes I'm more caught up than other times, but I know a few days ago, I got this great note from somebody who said, you know, now that they are working on themselves, now that they're doing the work, they know that if, oh gosh, how could I say this? I want to paraphrase, but I don't want to butcher it. You know, a year ago, if the most perfect person had walked in, they would have sent it back and wondered where's the love? You know, I can't remember exactly how the quote was, but it was basically, it was that, you know, there was so much progress that they had made in this right here, the walking away from attachment, being able to go through cycles and each time be better at it. It's the guidance. It's not, I mean, some of it's going to be coming from different places. So it could be coming from places where you expect it. Maybe you expect it when you go to talk to somebody at your church. You go and talk to somebody who's a wise person in your family or a friend of yours, or you come to watch my channel. You're expecting some form of guidance, but you're taking it and you're applying it, and you're doing these great things. You know, someone else said, you know, they do keep going through the cycles, but each time they go through the cycles, it's a little bit different, you know. And it's like every time there's less of a sense of an emotional attachment and more of a feeling that things are right, a feeling of, I think they said, being content. And I'm paraphrasing, so hopefully I'm not destroying it too much, but definitely I want to capture the feeling of it. But it's this letting go. It looks like this person is very much still not letting go, but it's a process, and it does take some time. The fact that you're taking the guidance and you're continuing to listen, I'm not saying like continuing to listen to this channel specifically, but you're continuing to listen to the guidance that's coming to you, and you're choosing the guidance that helps you grow and helps you to actually deliver results for yourself. You know that that makes you so much better. You see the partnership evolving within you, even if you're not as tied to one specific partnership. And even if that itself is gradual, you're moving in a very positive direction, and it's a beautiful thing to see. So you've got this page of coins. Yes. So the page of coins talks about learning a lesson. It's the card of being a student. You've got this lesson that is, you've got a series of lessons, but what's beautiful about it is that you're learning them. Like, you're taking the time, and it's that same feeling that I get in this part of the reading a lot, where it's like, you know what, and you don't even have to be in a rush about it. You know that you've got work to do, and you're ready to do it. You know you're going to be successful. You know that this is going to work for you. You know that the change is coming. So these are just, this is that steady as she goes sort of energy. I mean, and you've got the Knight of Pentacles also, which is that same sort of energy of continuing on, just in a consistent pace, you know. And so I think we'll get a little bit more deeply into that when we get, like, what does your bridge look like? The bridge between the energy where you are today and that of where you want to go. We'll look at that for you when we get into the extended. And for your person, like I said, we'll look into their emotions a little bit. We know that those are muffled a little bit today, but I think what we'll do is we'll step back and look at a little bit more broadly. So we're capturing more than just the energy of the day, and say, what does that emotion look like for you and for your person? So that's what we'll do. If you're interested in that, the link for the extended is in the description below the video, and I'll see you there. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.